So, season 1, and it looks like someone's back for round 2. So, this is simple. Through the last episode, they dealt with like this force, this enemy coming. They are here. Obviously, you had more, and I talked about how that one dealt with the battle at the school, the tests, and all that stuff. This one deals with a more confrontation of the assassin side, which I think is really fun. They have both sides of a conflict. I also think I forgot that in the last one, they sort of introduced the 5, which is basically 5 students that are really good alongside the head of the school, which I know is the principal, but it's weird for me to think about because I think we had headmasters. But I don't know if that's more old-fashioned speak. I don't know. I just remember headmasters or headmistress at the thing. But I don't know if that's just... Anyway, besides the point. They did really well, and that's what the sort of like the battle was trying to get, and the wish was to go to the vacation. But then they had that. That's not really one of this section. I just forgot to mention that, and I kind of like how they build this up, because definitely those group of 5 become important as the series goes on. Definitely through other sort of stuff that comes up. But then you'll get this season 1 finale. So when you go in, you sort of deal with these people sort of like learning to assassinate. We use or have this fun line of like, summer's about like trying to have kids learn outside of like the school, and then learning outside to allow them to be more smarter when they look kind of back. Which I think is a fun idea. Is that idea of like learning outside that allows them to learn and gain more skills is really fun and I think creative. And that's all. But what do I think this is good? Okay, so first you have Miss Yellowbit actually showing the students her talent. Because a lot of the time you see her as this teacher who is confrontational but supposedly has these skills, which was able to sort of like distract and get everyone's attention of the guards through the sort of like specific way. There's also a joke later on where it's like, oh, we need to leave, and she does this whole thing, which is, I think this place is better guards. Because not one of them be like, yes, I think I can listen over here. Playing the piano, which is good, is nice, is really amazing. You also get a line, again, her second blade, which is mentioned in the last episode with the exam of, not the last one, the first exam that they ever did with, you need to get your second blade. Which I think is really good. You also get, okay, then what's the next step? You go to a certain place, you look like, yes, this, like you belong there. But then, the poisoner. You also get one other person who hasn't really had much of a spotlight on be like, yes, you were the poisoner. It's like, yes, how do you know it was me? And it's like, well, the only time we were about was when we were having a meal. But the 2 people who were sick, once were sick, didn't eat dinner, and actually were editing the video. And it's ironic that they were sick, so the only other time was when we were all together at the beginning when you gave us drinks. Boom, 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 boom. And when you were sort of like, oh, I watch a lot of like detective genres, that's how I know this. I'm fine with it because it's an interesting character and it allows her to sort of have a moment where I don't think... There's a couple of characters that don't really have major moments. There's one, I think, earlier that I kind of forgot, was with one of the more sciencey ones that becomes really interesting. Later, creates a potion. Sorry, my iPad was like 10% left. Creates a poison that's sort of like, this is like sort of like, please drink these, and it's like, oh, you, and it does the whole thing. I forgot to mention that it is fun because it's, on retrospect, something interesting comes out of it. But I'm not going to mention it because it's not now. But you have moments like those where like some smaller characters do have a moment to shine, which one introduces more things for Koro Sensei and sort of some weakness in something other, and two allows there to be more of a feeling within the whole class. Obviously, there's still the two main characters and a couple other like major characters, but it allows the class to at least feel like they are all important. You go up, and then you actually deal with, if I'm correct, there's two that I always forget the order of, which is Karma having his conversation. So I'm just going to talk about that first, which is basically you have someone who's dealing with martial arts, and I love the thing where it's like, he does it in sort of like, oh, if smashing windows is intimidating, I can do that, which is the best line ever. And also like Karma, it's like, because a lot of the times he insults people like this. Really? So it's sort of like you look down on them, down their nose, but this one he looks this way. It feels weird doing this, being like, but it's all like, I am looking at you. This is me taking this seriously. And I love that small detail. And it sort of shows the growth. Because even though a lot of people did well in the exam, he failed. Which is really interesting and sort of shows here with humility. And then you get the sort of like going through the thing. And obviously one of the first jokes of the I'm gonna like say the sort of, I don't know if I'm not gonna say his name because I feel like I'm butchering it all the time and it's really bad. But the sort of what I would say is the character with blue hair is weird, but I don't want to mispronounce his name so often. He has this moment of sort of like dressing up as a girl. Obviously, it becomes more story beats when we have the episode that deals with his relationship with his mum, and also like the episode like, Karma's like, yeah, but I don't believe that I don't believe the guy thing. It's like, what the it's like, there's a couple of jokes, and a couple of them's like, it's super like, obviously the people saying it are doing it to be like dark and sort of like a bit like put you off guard, but it's like, what the it's like, why say that? It's like, wow, it's fun. And then you have two guards coming towards you, which then obviously the person who was in the other plot with the people with the white coat, who then obviously turned on them, he has one thing, 2 stun guns, which comes up later, but I like the fact where it's like, I came into money, and they show a clip of like him receiving the money for that deal. So he didn't get the money. At least some of it was like, yeah, I won the money. Also, what do you think tasers would do? I'm pretty sure this guy cannot be tased. You also then get the sniper, with then talking about the snipers being like, you always try again, come together, which is a fun idea. But then something seems odd. The poisoning guy came out of nowhere, but didn't seem like if he wanted to assassinate, he could have probably just put it through the air vents. Well, the person who fight through martial combat, why didn't he just snuck up behind one of us and took us out then? Same with the sniper. Why are they being... That guy who's organising this isn't an assassin. He's a soldier. And then you get the reveal. Who is it but the teacher that I keep accidentally alluding to? And when you get the second battle between him and the person who keeps saying, it's interesting. Because at one moment, he blows up the poisons and you feel like you want to kill him. Which is really good because one of the students who's there is poisoned. I might actually talk about this a bit more because it's very interesting and I like the setups. But for now, we're going to talk about more of this and maybe a couple episodes in season 2 for the next episode, but I want to talk more about it. So I'm actually going to carry on. But for now, I hope you enjoy. I do need to talk more about this and I have 20 seconds left. But for now, I hope you enjoy and good night. Let's see what this will bring next.